Chuck roast is a great cut of beef that comes from the shoulder of the cow. It has big, beefy flavor and lots of intramuscular fat that runs through it. All this means is that it's a great cut for stewing or braising. It's the #1 cut for pot roast. But Morgan's here and she's going to show us another way to cook chuck roast.
Yes, Bridget, I am going to show you how to make it into a roast beef that rivals any other sort of holiday roast.
Oh, dressing up chuck roast.
I'm dressing up chuck roast. We're having a good holiday here. So I have a 5-pound chuck roast. Now, in order to make this a holiday-worthy roast beef, you have to do a little bit of prep to get there. So you see how it has this nice line of fat running through the center. When you're braising it for pot roast, that melts, it becomes nice and tender.
Right.
When you roast it, not so much. I'm going to pull it apart at the seam. You can do a lot of this with your hands, but of course you can get in there with a knife to make it a little easier.
But I agree, yeah, to take it apart with your hands is always better because you end up cutting away less of the meat. Sometimes if you go at it all with your knife, you take a lot of the meat with it as you're trimming away the fat.
Yeah, whenever you use your knife, I actually like to do sort of quick strokes with my whole knife. I see people like saw it, and that's also how you often lose a lot of meat.
Yes.
Now I have deconstructed chuck roast.
Yes, you do.
So I'm gonna trim away a lot of these big pockets of fat, just because this can be chewy in the final roast. When I do this, I also like to go in with my knife horizontal to the fat, and I angle it slightly up, and that way you're losing as little meat as possible. And of course, I'm keeping my hands away from the blade.
Right. A nice flexible boning knife really makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be perfect with it. Clearly, there's still some fat running on here, but it would take me all day and I'd have tons of little pieces.
Yes.
I just want that big piece mainly out. So I'm gonna tie it back together.
Okay.
But before I do that, I'm gonna season it. So here I have 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. So one other advantage of doing this is you get this extra surface area where you can put salt and pepper, so you get extra seasoning. And then 2 teaspoons of pepper. Now that I'm all seasoned, time to tie it.
Gorgeous.
Yes, reassembled, reconstructed beef. And I'm gonna tie it at 1-inch intervals. And the reason I'm doing this is just to hold it all together. It probably wouldn't hold its shape if I just sort of flopped those 2 pieces back together.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, this is typically a little bit of a tough cut. So there are a few different things I'm thinking about to make it really nice and tender. And one of those is letting the salt sit overnight in the fridge. I'll let it go about 18 hours. I'm gonna wrap it in plastic, and that's gonna both make the meat a lot more tender. It's also just gonna help it taste a lot better. The salt has done its work. It sat on here 18 hours. Now I'm gonna roast it, but before I do that, I'm gonna rub it with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and this is just gonna help it color really nicely in the oven. I have a 275-degree oven, which is a relatively low oven. A low oven like that is really good for getting the meat to cook really evenly. It also helps break down these tough muscle fibers, so it'll make it extra nice and tender.
All right.
So I'm gonna cook it until it's 145 to 150 degrees. It'll take about 3.5 hours. It looks good.
Oh.
I know. See, it's starting to look like a holiday-worthy roast.
I am impressed.
Thank you. Now let's check the temp. 145 to 150, anywhere in there's okay. 146. When I first started this, I actually thought I'd be cooking it to 125 degrees because that's what you would cook a tenderloin to.
Right, or prime rib.
Or prime rib. And then I also messed around with cooking it really high, like a chuck roast, because if you do a pot roast, it's 190.
At least.
At least. And I tested all in between. And 145 was great. It gave me this meat that's like nice and a little bit juicy, sort of a medium. So it's not gonna be as pink as a tenderloin would be, but it's gonna have really nice texture, and it's still gonna be plenty juicy, and it's not gonna be too chewy.
Okay, that's great, yeah, because it's already a chewy cut. So you need to cook it a little bit longer.
Yeah, if you cook it to 125, it can be chewy. I'm now gonna transfer it to this carving board and let it rest 45 minutes. It's really important to let almost all meats rest, but with this in particular, it makes it much easier to slice it thin. It cools it down a little bit, and slicing it really thin is important to getting, again, that tender, not chewy meat.
Okay.
Cover with foil, keep it nice and warm. A nice little tent. We gave it a massage earlier, a little tent now.
It's a whole day at the spa.
Whole day at the spa. So while that rests, I've got 45 minutes to kill, so might as well make a very pretty sauce.
Lovely.
So I love herb sauces, but I also love horseradish sauces. So I decided to have them have a baby. And I have a horseradish parsley sauce. This is a sauce where I'm letting the food processor do almost all my chopping.
Great, I love sauces like this.
Yes, this is my easy sauce. Even though I have 45 minutes to make it, I'm not gonna spend that.
No.
So I have a cup of parsley leaves. And you can see I'm actually including some of the little stems. Totally fine to do. This is really tender. It's not gonna like mess up the flavor, and with how it gets chopped, totally fine.
Okay,
and
great.
then I don't have to spend all this time picking each little leaf.
Fabulous.
I have a quarter of a cup of prepared horseradish, chopped shallot. I was not careful with mincing this. Got the food processor. 2 tablespoons of capers, tablespoon of lemon juice, garlic clove. Then I also have a half teaspoon kosher salt. You can use table salt, you just want to use half as much. So I'm looking for the parsley to be finely chopped, which will take about 6 to 8 pulses. Okay, so this is not yet a sauce.
Right, you've made a relish.
I've made a relish, which would probably taste pretty good.
Sure.
But I also have 3/4 of a cup of olive oil that I'm just gonna stir in. Olive oil, if you beat it up too much in the food processor, can get bitter.
Absolutely.
So I always like to stir it in at the end. It gives you a little more control. And then you sort of have this like, this is cheesy of me, but this like magical moment where it all comes together and you're like, oh, now it's beautiful.
Now it's beautiful. It's such a smart idea to add it after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so we just have 45 more minutes to wait and then time to slice and serve.
Perfect.
It's been 45 minutes. Thankfully still there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, you know.
I know, I saw you eyeing it. So it's time to slice. I just think this is a fun roast. It could be a centerpiece worthy holiday roast. It looks elegant, it looks special.
Yes.
It's nice and brown.
All of that.
And I think this roast cost me $35.
That's
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I really want to slice it thinly. I'm gonna start at the end, and I'm not gonna untie it yet. I'm gonna untie it, or actually cut off the twine as I'm going. That helps hold the roast together. And this 45-minute rest helps give me this nice thin meat.
Look how juicy that is.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wanna make sure I'm giving you some nice, see how it's all nice and rosy?
Oh, yes.
But it's not rare. I know, it looks great, very elegant.
Lovely. Look at the color on that.
I know, it's so fun. I think the red, it's like red and green.
That is chuck roast.
Chuck roast.
That looks like that.
Yeah, I'm so used to seeing chuck roast and having it be a part of pot roast. And pot roast is beautiful in its own way, but it's not like this.
That is super beefy.
You get that bold beefy flavor and a pretty cheap cut.
I feel like this is respecting the chuck roast.
It is. It's giving it its due respect.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the sauce is such a nice balance. When you get the like little pop of horseradish and caper, and it feels so elegant and special.
And there's that little bit of brininess, that little bit of acidity, so it does cut through the richness of the beef so beautifully. But the beef itself, I can't get over it. I mean, it's just salt and pepper, and it's really well seasoned. It's beautifully seasoned.
It's all that kosher salt.
It's gorgeous.
I love a recipe like this that's 3 ingredients and you just let time do the work for you. And a little technique and you have this exceptional recipe.
This was a masterful recipe. Absolute chuck roast perfection. Thanks.
Thank you, Bridget.
Well, if you would like to make a perfect roasted chuck roast at home, separate the roast at its natural seam to trim away excess fat. Cook it in a low oven until it's tender. And dress it up with a bright sauce. So from Cook's Country, the easy and very elegant roasted beef chuck roast with horseradish parsley sauce.
I'm doing the math on how many sandwiches we can get out of this.
2.
That seems about right.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.